Donald Trump was elected as the 47th president of the United States on November 5, 2024, defeating Democratic candidate Kamala Harris. His inauguration is scheduled for January 20th, 2025 at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. The inauguration ceremony will include the swearing-in of Vice President-elect J.D. Vance.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Followed by President-elect Trump taking the oath of office.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
The event will feature traditional pageantry and will be attended by former presidents and world leaders. Outgoing President Joe Biden is expected to attend to honor the peaceful transfer of power. However, as president, Donald Trump plans to implement several significant policies through executive orders and legislative initiatives. Today, we'll be taking a look at some of these potential policies and regulations, so watch to the end to not miss out on some important information. Trump intends to conduct mass deportations of undocumented immigrants, reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, and end birthright citizenship.
Day one, I will seal the border, stop the invasion, and
we will begin the largest deportation operation
in American history.
According to the latest estimates, approximately 11.7 million undocumented immigrants currently reside in the United States, which amounts to roughly 3.5% of the total U.S. population. The United States has more international migrants than any other country in the world, surpassing the total of the next 4 countries combined. In recent years, the United States has not deported more than 500,000 immigrants under formal removal orders in a single fiscal year. If President Trump follows through on his promise, the country could see a deportation operation on an unprecedented scale.
He also plans to declare illegal immigration a national emergency and deploy military forces to the southern border. This initiative aims to reduce illegal immigration and its associated challenges. However, it raises concerns about the humanitarian impact on families and the logistical challenges of large-scale deportations.
Officers in riot gear surrounded the 101 freeway through downtown LA Sunday evening as the LAPD issued a citywide tactical alert. Small scuffles broke out between protesters and police as tensions escalated. Police issued dispersal orders as demonstrators marched onto the freeway, forcing several closures throughout the day. CHP officers doing everything they could to clear the lanes and keep everyone safe and off the freeway. Earlier, thousands of protesters rallied against President Donald Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration and mass deportations.
We've seen it already a bunch of times all over, so he doesn't care. We need to be treated like humans. And, you know, we're being treated inhumanely.
Since his first day back in office, Trump has signed a flurry of executive orders authorizing greater military force at the U.S.-Mexico border. The administration says it's going after violent criminal immigrants who are in the country illegally. But with nearly 1,000 deportations daily, many fear no one is safe.
There's so many people out there that may have came here illegally, but it's home. We're the ones that, our parents are the ones that sacrificed everything for us to come here. And we're more than grateful for them.
I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm all mixed emotions because they're doing all this to people who don't deserve it.
The Remain in Mexico policy requires asylum seekers at the U.S. southern border to stay in Mexico while their claims are processed. The objective is to deter frivolous asylum claims and manage border congestion. Critics argue it exposes migrants to dangerous conditions in Mexican border towns.
Some local leaders have vowed not to cooperate. As the new administration warns, no place is safe. Undocumented immigrants could even be arrested in churches and schools.
The only way that we will cooperate with ICE is if there's a criminal threat to our community. But aside from that, we will not be cooperating with ICE.
In response, Trump's Justice Department is vowing to prosecute local officials. A 3-page memo warns federal law prohibits state and local actors from resisting, obstructing, and otherwise failing to comply with lawful immigration commands. It says the department shall investigate instances involving any such misconduct for potential prosecution.
We are watching what Donald Trump is doing every single day with his executive orders.
Yet there's no sign the new administration is willing to bend.
The vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
After this direct plea during the inaugural mass,
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President.
Trump responded on social media, calling the bishop nasty and demanding an apology.
Trump proposes to end automatic citizenship for children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants, challenging the 14th Amendment's interpretation. This move aims to discourage illegal immigration, but is expected to face significant legal challenges and debates over constitutional rights. What do you think? Should illegal or undocumented immigrants who have children in the U.S. be allowed to stay in the United States? Tell us your opinions down below. Aside from the Remain in Mexico policy, Trump aims to declare illegal immigration a national emergency. By doing this, Trump seeks to allocate additional resources, including military deployment, to secure the southern border. This approach emphasizes national security but may face legal scrutiny regarding the scope of executive power. Trump proposes imposing a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada, unless they assist in curbing illegal immigration and drug inflows. This strategy aims to pressure neighboring countries into cooperation, but risks retaliatory measures and potential trade wars that could impact the U.S. economy. Additionally, a 10% tariff on Chinese imports is under consideration to counter illegal drug contributions. While aiming to protect American industries, according to many, such tariffs could lead to increased consumer prices and strained diplomatic relations. In terms of energy, Trump aims to reverse many of President Biden's energy policies, including lifting bans on offshore oil and gas drilling, reopening the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge for energy exploration, and potentially exiting the Paris Climate Accord. These actions aim to boost domestic energy production and achieve energy independence, but raise environmental concerns about potential ecological damage and climate change implications. By withdrawing from international climate agreements, Trump seeks to prioritize economic growth over environmental regulations. This move could undermine global efforts to combat climate change and isolate the U.S. from international environmental collaborations. His administration is expected to adopt policies favoring employers over workers, potentially diminishing worker protections and altering diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) policies. Appointments to the National Labor Relations Board may reflect this pro-business stance. This approach aims to stimulate business growth, but according to critics, this may lead to increased worker dissatisfaction and disputes over fair labor practices.
Right now, federal employees are waiting to see if they will have a job or not after President Trump's latest executive order. The president also facing backlash for his decision to pardon January 6th convicts and his attempt to end birthright citizenship. NBC's Chris Pallone breaks down those details.
Today, some federal employees are being told to stay home and prepare to be fired. A new Trump administration memo released overnight says people who work in government diversity, equity, and inclusion offices are being notified they are being placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. Department heads now ordered to draw up plans by the end of the month to fire those workers as President Trump rolls back Biden-era attempts to diversify the federal workforce. He calls it discrimination.
Our country is going to be based on merit.
It comes as the president faces increasing backlash for pardoning all of the January 6th Capitol riot convicts, including those who assaulted police officers. This was the vice president 10 days ago.
If you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned.
Mr. Trump disagrees.
These people have served years of jail and their lives have been ruined.
Former D.C. police officer Michael Fanone, who was beaten and shocked with a taser by the mob that day, calls it the ultimate betrayal.
They almost killed me on January 6th, and now they're free.
Some in the president's party struggling to defend the move.
It was surprising to me that it was a blanket pardon. Now I'm going through the details.
Additionally, critics argue that National Labor Relations Board appointments with pro-business leanings could result in decisions that diminish union influence and worker rights, affecting collective bargaining and workplace conditions. Trump plans to establish the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, aiming to suspend regulations, reduce the federal workforce, and eliminate certain government agencies. However, many argue that legal challenges may impede efforts to abolish agencies like the Department of Education without congressional approval. Furthermore, while intended to increase efficiency, such measures may face legal challenges and concerns about the erosion of essential public services.
As the national debt ticks ever upwards, heading towards the $37 trillion mark, Donald Trump, using his first day back in office, making good on a campaign promise to rein in government spending.
To restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government.
Signing an executive order establishing the Department of Government Efficiency.
Known as Doge. Okay, that's a big one.
Tech billionaire and close Trump ally Elon Musk will officially head the effort solo.
Take over, Elon, just take over.
Vivek Ramaswamy, who had been set to co-lead Doge with Musk, bowing out to consider a run for the governor of Ohio. Trump and Musk have identified federal diversity, equity, and inclusion programs as places to start these cuts. On Monday, the Chief Diversity Officer Executive Council that leads the national DEI strategy closed. Musk posting on X, it begins.
We're going to make the future good. We're going to make it good.
While campaigning for Trump, Musk said he would identify at least $2 trillion worth of government spending to cut. Critics point out achieving that goal could be impossible without cuts to critical programs like Medicare and Social Security. Musk tempering expectations of what Doge will accomplish in an interview earlier this month.
I think we'll try for $2 trillion. I think that's like the best case outcome. But I do think that you kind of have to have some overage. I think if we try for $2 trillion, we've got a good shot at getting one.
Those opposed to Doge filing lawsuits Monday claiming the new office violates federal laws requiring committees formed to advise the president to be transparent and ideologically balanced. Doge supporters say it's not an official advisory panel.
But before we continue, we can tell you enjoy this type of content, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Make sure to turn on notifications too, so you never miss a new video. His agenda includes promoting private schooling and Christian teachings, which may lead to reforms in educational policies at the state level and incorporating Christian values into curricula. This initiative aims to provide school choice and align education with certain moral frameworks, but expectedly may face opposition over the separation of church and state and concerns about public education funding. Do you think countries should separate religion from schooling practices and government strategies as a whole? Tell us your thoughts in the comment section. Aside from these major regulations, President-elect Donald Trump has recently proposed two other significant territorial expansions, incorporating Canada as the 51st U.S. state and acquiring Greenland. Trump has suggested that Canada should become part of the United States, referring to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as Governor Trudeau, and stating that Canada would make a great 51st state.
Happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen.
Action that he could agree to change your mind on the tariff?
Well, we can always, look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our, Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need them. As a state, it's different. As a state, it's much different. And there are no tariffs. So I'd love to see that, but some people say that would be a long shot. If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain. And there would be some pain, but not a lot. The pain would be really there. So we're going to meet again by phone at 3 o'clock, and we'll let you know what it is.
However, Canadian leaders have strongly opposed this idea. Prime Minister Trudeau responded that there is not a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would join the U.S.
Joined now by Charlie Angus. He is a member of the Canadian Parliament. You heard him there, sir. What I'd like is for Canada to become our 51st state. He said it before. He just said it again moments ago. Your reaction?
Well, what President Trump also said is that the tariffs will not come off until we give up our birthright and our sovereignty to a convicted predator. That is never, ever, ever going to happen. So what Donald Trump has done is unified Canadians in a manner I've never seen before. And while Americans may be waking up to the tariffs, we've already started the pushback. People in Kentucky, did you know that your biggest export market for spirits is Canada? We just took everything off the shelves. California, did you know that the largest purchaser of wines in the world is the liquor agency in Ontario? You don't get any more California wines in Ontario. Elon Musk, our premier, just canceled a $100 million deal today. Canada is getting ready for this fight because we know that he's erratic. It may be this week, it may be next week, but there's a huge actual boycott going on in grocery stores, ordinary people stopping me on the streets. Nobody is buying anything that comes out of the United States right now because we understand this is a threat to who we are as a nation.
Former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien also condemned Trump's remarks, calling them totally unacceptable insults and unprecedented threats to Canadian sovereignty. Trump has revived interest in purchasing Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark, citing its strategic location and mineral resources as vital for U.S. national security. This proposal has been met with resistance from both Denmark and Greenland's residents, who favor greater autonomy rather than becoming part of the U.S. Trump has not ruled out using military or economic pressure to acquire the island. These proposals have raised concerns about U.S. foreign policy and international relations, with critics arguing that such actions could strain diplomatic ties and set a precedent for territorial expansionism. These proposed actions indicate a comprehensive approach to reshaping various aspects of U.S. policy, although many are expected to encounter legal and practical challenges. From introducing Christian values back into the American schooling system to making Canada the 51st state of the U.S., do you think newly elected President Trump will succeed with his ambitions for America? Tell us your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let us know any of your thoughts in the comments section, and we'll see you in the next one.